Hello again and welcome to another video. This time I have two Galaxy S10 phones to fix. I got both of these phones from a friend and I'll get to keep one if I get both fixed. This black phone has been picked from trash and it's in quite a poor condition. It's missing pieces of the frame, whereas this white one still turns on. It has just been dropped and half of its screen isn't working. It just needs to have its screen replaced, but the frame itself is in good condition on the white phone. So for the black phone I'll be ordering a screen that comes with the frame pre-attached, and for the white one I only need the display itself. So let's start with the black phone. And as you can see, it has taken quite a beating and it has pieces missing from the frame as well as the plastic shielding on the back, but luckily both of those can be replaced. Here I have the replacement plastic shielding and the wireless charging module, and in this anti-static packaging is the display itself pre-attached to a frame. And of course, before ordering any parts, I tested that the phone does turn on despite nothing showing on the display. The phone did successfully detect when connected to a PC, so I think there's a decent chance I'll get this one working by replacing the display and maybe get a good camera phone out of this one. After removing the screws and lifting off the plastic shielding, I could see that the wireless charging module was ripped and some threads inside it may be severed, but that part is getting replaced anyway. After removing 3 additional screws and unlatching all the ribbon cables, the motherboard lifted up, and next I moved the earpiece over to the new frame. After that I found a loose part near the front camera hole and it has been broken off the motherboard, which was worrying because maybe there's more parts that have broken off the board. Luckily, with a quick glance at the board, I didn't spot any other parts missing. Front camera looks broken, but it's a module that can be replaced. Next I moved over the haptic feedback motor and the headphone jack. Next is the most difficult part of the repair when you are changing the frame as well, because you need to get the battery out of the old frame and into the new frame. Of course that wouldn't need to be difficult, but manufacturers keep making it more and more difficult all the time by using stronger and stronger glue to keep the battery in place. In order to not puncture or bend the battery, I tried using plastic tools and I used a bit of heat from the heat gun, not too much since it's a battery, but that didn't really help at all. Eventually I used isopropyl alcohol. In order to weaken the battery adhesive, I had to use several applications of 70% isopropyl alcohol, leaving it to dig into the adhesive for 20 minutes or so between each application. Now that all of the parts are detached from the old frame and display, we can fit all of them in the new frame and new display and test if the new display works. For testing purposes, it should be enough to only secure the plastic shielding down with 3 screws or so. And here I'm holding the battery so that it doesn't fall out, because I didn't yet apply any new adhesive between the frame and the battery. And as you can see here, the phone displays the charging icon and it eventually powers up, which is very relieving since we now know that this phone does indeed turn on and that the screen works. And it's also the same screen as was advertised. This is a discounted screen with a black spot at the corner. And as I suspected the front camera doesn't work, when I switch to the front camera, it gives a camera failed warning message, and only way I can switch to the rear camera again is to reset the camera app settings. So while I need to get a new front camera module, the screen did work and I can install it permanently. And there's a close-up of the tiny component that has been detached from the motherboard. Luckily it doesn't seem to be anything critical, so I'll just ignore it for now. Maybe that part has to do something with facial recognition. I'm not sure though. I ordered a new camera module for €7. There's this black foamy double-sided tape thing between the frame and the earpiece that was incomplete in the new frame, so I tried to transfer the old one from the old frame. Now that we verified that the screen does work, we can permanently assemble the phone. So I installed the motherboard and attached it with the 3 screws, and after that the plastic shielding that has the wireless charging. After securing that down with all the screws, we can prepare the new glass back panel for installation. Looking at the Samsung logo, it doesn't seem to be an original part, but it's a glass back panel. As long as it does its job, I don't really care. Before gluing the back panel permanently on the phone, I tested both of the cameras and I tried to clean the old adhesive from the frame. The adhesive that was pre-applied on the new back panel didn't really look great, but since I'll be using this phone myself, I'll just reattach the back panel if it ever comes off, and I'll be using a better glue, but I think it's fine. I'll be using a silicone case with it, so I don't think the back cover is going to come off. But yeah, that should do it for the first phone. I consider this black Galaxy S10 Plus repaired. In total it needed a new screen with frame, back cover, camera module and wireless charging module. And with the black S10 Plus repaired, we can move to the white phone. With this phone we can at least see that it works, as half of the screen is working, and as the frame itself is in better condition, I'll be ordering just a new display module without the frame for this phone. Since this has a back cover in place, we need to detach it first. I used a heating platform to heat the back cover a bit to soften the adhesive, but it's important not to heat it too much since the battery doesn't like too much heat. The back cover seems to be attached with pretty strong adhesive. I tried different tools. It's generally best to use this kind of a plastic card. Unfortunately, I was a bit impatient in trying to pull the glass back off the phone, and I ended up shattering it. A new glass back panel is quite cheap, but that's still a shame since it's quite satisfying to get the back panel apart from the phone intact. Anyway, I proceeded to disassemble the phone. The steps are really the same that I did with the black phone earlier. I detached all the other parts from the frame and the old screen, except the battery, and I proceeded to heat the phone up a bit to begin prying the old screen off the frame. It would usually be a good idea to take the battery out of the phone since it doesn't like heat, but since it's attached to the frame with such a strong adhesive, I thought that trying to pry it off would probably damage it more than a bit of heat. Prying the old screen off the frame is best done with a plastic card. The new screen is going to be a good reference, and you can see from the new frame where there's going to be glue and where there's not. Eventually I got the old screen detached from the frame, and I proceeded to clean as much of the old adhesive from the frame as possible. The old adhesive was black double-sided tape, and there's going to be quite a lot of tiny bits of glass, especially along the edges of the phone, and it's very important to clean those tiny glass bits off so that they don't break the new screen during or after its installation. The AMOLED panel on the Galaxy S10 Plus is very thin and probably breaks easily. And as with the previous phone, we'll test the new screen first before a permanent installation. Powering up the phone and testing the display and touch, everything seems to be working, and this screen has the same black spots as in the listening, so it's the same screen. Before permanent installation, I double checked that all the corners of the screen were flush with the frame, and it seems that it sat on the frame properly. To attach the new screen, I used some B7000 glue, and it's important to not put too much glue on the front camera part and the power and volume buttons. If any glue seeps into the power or volume buttons, they'll easily get stuck. I prefer to reassemble the phone right after applying the glue and placing the screen back onto the frame, so that I can check if everything's okay before the glue dries. And as everything seems to be working properly with this white phone, we can leave the glue to dry. I asked my friend, and he told that he doesn't mind about the shattered back panel, so I guess I'll be leaving it like it is. So that's the other S10 Plus repaired, and I got to keep the black S10 Plus, which I am testing here. I've actually been using this phone as a camera for most of my YouTube videos for now, and it's been working great. And I'm actually using it now as my daily driver phone, and I still don't know what that part was that got detached from the motherboard, but as of now I'm really happy with the phone.